All right, we're about to dive into a source that lays out this really bold, kind of uncompromising blueprint it calls the architecture of modern masculinity. And you need to know, the whole thing is built around one single thing: testosterone. So let's just jump right into the first and honestly the most direct question it asks.
Right out of the gate, this source does not pull any punches. It opens with this. Now, obviously it's talking about morning erections, but it frames the absence of them not as some minor issue, but as a critical red flag. You know, like a modern canary in the coal mine for a man's hormonal health.
And according to this framework, this is not a minor issue. It's positioned as the critical warning sign. The visual here is perfect, right? This is the first domino. The whole argument is that if this one thing is off, a whole cascade of other problems is about to be set in motion.
And here is that cascade effect it's talking about. Just look at what's on the line here. It starts with the physical stuff. Low blood flow, no drive, you're losing muscle. But then it spirals outward. It starts to impact attraction, the respect you command, and even the desire from your partner. The source is really clear on this. These aren't separate problems. This is a total interconnected system failure.
Okay, so what's the fix? Well, the framework kicks off with Section 1, your Primal Foundation. These are presented as the absolute, non-negotiable things you have to get right to start rebuilding. First up is deep sleep. Now, what's so cool about this slide is how it's framed. It's not just rest, it's a factory. The source is super emphatic about this. This is where the actual production happens. If you skip out on quality sleep, it's like shutting down the assembly line for the very thing that, in its view, makes you sharp and powerful. Next on the list, the T-building diet. And they break it down into this really simple supply chain. First, you got to prioritize the big things, protein and fats. And why? Well, that's step 2, because they provide the literal raw materials, cholesterol and amino acids, that are the essential building blocks for your hormones. It's simple, right? No raw materials, no end product.
And this quote, it really just captures the direct, no-nonsense tone of the whole thing. The message is simple. From this perspective, those low-calorie or low-fat diets are completely working against the goal of building testosterone. It's a memorable line for sure, and it's meant to cut through any confusion on the topic.
Let's move on. Section 2 is all about external inputs and actions. We're talking about the signals you send your body to trigger the right hormonal response. It's all about action, light, and power. So this slide lays out a very clear choice for when you're in the gym. On the left, you've got your heavy compound lifts. Think squats, deadlifts. The source frames these as powerful signals to your body to produce more testosterone. But then on the right, you see how it positions endless, long-duration cardio. It says it can actually be counterproductive, raising your stress hormone, cortisol, and pretty much undermining your goals.
Here's another simple but really powerful one: sunlight. The source claims that just 20 minutes of morning sun has this dual effect you see on the chart. It boosts T production, and at the same time, it lowers your stress hormone, cortisol. You can think of it as this natural signal that helps set your body's clock, switching you out of a state of stress and into a state of growth.
And then, of course, we have cold showers. The argument here is that this isn't just some trend, it's a primal tool. It works by giving your nervous system a jolt, which in turn is said to raise dopamine, improve circulation, and ultimately bring back that sense of drive and mental toughness.
All right, Section 3. This is where we shift the focus from the physical to the mental. The whole battle here is framed as discipline versus distraction, and it argues that our modern habits are a direct threat to that whole system we've just been talking about.
So, the main argument here is against what the source calls fake highs. The idea is that things like endless scrolling on your phone or watching porn give you these super easy, unearned hits of dopamine. And by constantly tapping into that, you basically burn out your brain's reward system. It just makes it so much harder to find the motivation for real-world challenges that, require actual effort.
And this is the solution it offers. Instead of just letting that energy get drained away by digital distractions, the idea is to channel it, to redirect it into productive, real things, lifting weights, building a business, achieving goals out there in the real world. It's all about redirecting your focus.
This brings us to the final kind of overarching principle, and it's presented as a single command that really ties everything else together.
This right here, this is the core belief that the entire blueprint is built on. The source is basically asserting that the male body has this inherent physical purpose, and that purpose is to be active, to be strong, and to be capable of handling heavy things.
And then you get hit with this quote which delivers the final point in the most provocative way possible.
The term estrogenic is used here to create this really stark link between a sedentary lifestyle and a negative hormonal outcome. The message underneath is that being inactive doesn't just make you weak. The source claims it literally creates a chemical consequence that works against your masculine hormonal profile.
So, we end on this question, which really boils down the entire philosophy of this source material. It presents a clear choice. Every action you take, every habit you have, every single day, it's either contributing to the architecture you're trying to build or it's draining the foundation. The question is, which one are you doing?